What's up, people? How you doing? It's your man Rondell Jordan, aka the Black Swan. Today I have a conversation for you. Something that I know that a lot of people are being affected by because, I'm seeing a lot of talk. The content creators that we see 3, 4, 5 years ago who built platforms are using these platforms to talk about this very topic, and this topic is, of course, relationships. And the thing is that most people are talking about either dating, right, or the outcomes of relationships, meaning that 80% of divorces are filed by our wives, and 54% of African American men are single and childless, and most of these men are doing okay for themselves and they're middle class. And yet we are unable to pair bond with the women of our complexion. Now, I don't think that we are a people simply because we share the same complexion. That in itself is part of the misprogramming. See, we were programmed to think the way we think. Therefore, we behave and act accordingly. So, the way that we see people acting in mass, the general behavior that we see, not necessarily what we see on TV. TV is the programming. So they putting on TV the behaviors that they want to be emulated by the culture. So of course, the people who are controlling the content are controlling the narrative. Not just the narrative on television, but the narrative on how you perceive the word from the Bible. So all the misprogramming has caused a lot of confusion because we have been programmed against our true nature. See, a lot of people know or see that the down spiral in the black community occurred in 1965. Well, it was in that time, in that era, where there was a civil rights uprising, a movement to increase civil rights, not black rights, not African American rights, but civil rights, meaning rights for the civilians of the United States of America. Now, we've been given a history from a narrative, from a perspective that our rights were granted to us. But the document says that these are unalienable rights bestowed by God just for us being in existence, meaning that when you have been born, you're not born with the creed of laws. Your laws are part of the system to keep order and structure going in your region, in your area, in your city, in your town, in your state. So there's nothing wrong with the fact that there's a system in place, but that system has been designed to service or give privileges or benefits based off of economic value, based off of racial value, based off of religious, preferences, based off of your looks, based off of your height, ethnicity. So we don't recognize the arena that we are. In this arena called the United States of America, the only ethnicity recognized is the Hispanic. If you look at your birth certificate, job applications, official documents, under ethnicity, it is Hispanic or non-Hispanic. So most of us check non-Hispanic. Those who checks Hispanic, their ethnicity is recognized. And that is because these are the districts of Columbia. And Columbus, or Colombo, he was financed by Spain, Queen Isabella, and King Ferdinand. Now, this union united the Romans and the Spanish. All right. So we know the Romans. They are the Latins, right? They have a lot of different names, so that they were trying to rebrand themselves. We call them the Italians now, right? But the term Spanish is a relatively new term, right? Within the 20th century, right? And then Rome is a relatively new term. Italian is a relatively new term. Okay, so Spain is a relatively new term, and Rome is a relatively new term. All right, so this Iberian Peninsula, right, is a union of the Portuguese and the Spanish. These people are considered Latinos, right? And you would say, okay, well, they speak Spanish, so why wouldn't we say they're Spanish or Spaniard? And some people do, based off their language, like you say English. People who are English. In the United States, we are Englishmen. We don't consider ourselves that, but this territory is being managed by the English. And these were based off of treaties from the European nations that made treaties over here. Because, see, Turtle Island, this area over here, was considered a trading place. It's a free place. Like I said, humans were able to traverse the earth how they please, meaning that you can get up today and you would be able to go walk up Mexico. Now, you would have to, of course, understand the traditions, understand the trails and the risk of things. So these things kept people within pockets, living within civilizations, okay? Because if you go too far into the forest, you have vipers, you have jaguars, and you have, enemies. You have wild men, right? Wild enemies, right? So the point that I'm trying to say is that civilizations developed around the convenience and the safety, the security of numbers. And so we had to be mindful of that when you travel or when you trek the earth in the beginning.